is the record button. Cool. So Diane Pierce, you teach digital photography, is it?
I teach film and digital. I teach just about every class that we offer or have over the years.
And how long have you been teaching photo, at least, at De Anza?
At De Anza, you can probably put close to 18 years.
Oh, okay. Wow. Cool. So the article that we're working on is about kind of like what it means to be a photographer and the accessibility of taking pictures, especially with, like everyone having a cell phone that has a camera built into it now. So one of the questions that you had here is like, what's your thoughts on like, again, trying to figure out where the good place to start with this is like what I guess like what do you think exactly constitutes like when someone says if you're a photographer?
Well, I do come from a traditional background, meaning I come from analog photography, but I've been with digital from the day it started also. So I'm one of those lucky people that have had both. So I was just talking to somebody about Photoshop being 25 years old, and I thought, well, I knew Photoshop before there were layers. That's what I laugh about. But I don't know Photoshop inside out. I wouldn't claim that. But I think from my own experience, both as a student and then later as an educator, and then seeing the change, and we can make the change, we can sort of mark it with going from the 20th to the 21st century in a way, the, arrival of digital. Even before the arrival of digital, there were a lot of photographs for a very short history. Everybody made pictures, it seemed like. Your parents, your grandparents, they had boxes and albums full of pictures. So there were always lots of pictures, it seemed, in a very short time period, 150 years or less. Today, digital, everyone is a photographer. It does feel that way because of the phones or the cameras or just all the technology that exists for capturing an image. So there's all kinds of advantages to that. I think it's wonderful that we can have all these photographs, and everybody can both have access to seeing imagery, but also be making imagery. I come also from a final product being a print, but I realize that today imagery exists for us, right on our screens, whatever we're looking at. So, I like both. I appreciate both, and I have maybe sometimes a preference. Also being from a background in the fine arts, that final print and that exhibition object is of value to me. I don't know, it's a rich world. I don't know how else to describe it. I think it's pretty interesting.
Gotcha. Have you seen? I forgot what the exhibition was, but recently there's been like some discussion about like digital, like phone photography, for instance, making its way into like the fine arts and stuff like that. Do you have any?
I hear about different apps for doing things. We hear about iPhone photography, and I will mention that on March 3rd we actually have 2 people that are coming to talk about iPhone photography. Oh, wow. So that'll be part of our lecture series, so March 3rd. So if people watch for that, 7 p.m. in A11. So Robert Cato and Kathy Bread, who have done workshops on iPhoto or iPhone photography and do their own work, as well as teach different things, that are specialized in terms of working with that piece of equipment, your phone. So that should be interesting. I think all these things are fascinating, but there's always been from day one in photography, you can manipulate an image, and I mean going back to 1839, you can manipulate a photograph, so it isn't new with Photoshop, or it isn't new with the technology we have today. And so it's a visual language, so that's wonderful in the sense that I think it becomes very democratic. If we can see, we can look at the image and we can understand something about it. Whether it's accurate or not, that's another matter, either what's being conveyed or what's being read, but photography really allows a lot of people to communicate non-verbally. So that's a wonderful aspect of it.
Gotcha. So, and do you think that's something that's been made more accessible with the availability of cheap cameras and stuff like that?
Yeah, and I think what I also was going to say is that camera equipment or devices that we could use to alter our pictures or put something in front of the lens, or just the idea of using a plastic camera when we used to shoot film just for the effects you would get. All these things are possibilities. There's possibilities today with all the technology, just like you're mentioning, all the different types of cameras, and even moving into, animating stills. Like now, I saw something recently where a person that shoots still photography is not making outright movies, but they're just taking that still image and then allowing it to be displayed as a single image, but that maybe the eyes move or something like that. So,
I see. Yeah, I think like cinemagraphs. I think.
Yeah, so there are these other aspects to it that are just really kind of cool. So,
Gotcha. Let's see, and I think you kind of knocked out most of those questions there. You said you have a background in fine arts and that you primarily shoot film, was it? Or?
I don't primarily shoot film. Today I'd probably say I do more digitally, but I scan, okay? So I scan film and print, okay?
Oh, okay.
And I do digital, and I still can shoot film if I want. I'm a big overlap, and I also come from a background in painting and drawing. I wouldn't admit to painting or drawing, but I would say to you that if you looked at, or if people, when they see my work, there is a certain amount of manipulation in it. So, and I mean physically, there's maybe paint applied or there's collage. So I'm a big mix-up.
Oh, gotcha.
So film and digital and, anything else that I can experiment with when it's appropriate. Right?
Gotcha. So a few different mediums mixed up in there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yes, I think that was most of the questions that he had. One of the ones that he did know here is a difference between like a hobby, like photography as a hobby versus like as a profession. He didn't quite elaborate on that. So I guess what he was trying to say is like what, I guess the expectations of the photos that you take as like a hobby and then maybe as a profession.
Well, I take pictures that I would classify as snapshots, and so that's maybe family and friends and doing certain things specifically. But I work very seriously to do bodies of work that are hopefully seen or exhibited through different venues, whether it's a gallery or possibly a museum, or it goes into some kind of collected show or a collection of work that somebody's interested in. So it's a business. I think sometimes it used to be seen that you had people that were making art, and maybe that was supposedly photographic art was maybe a hobby, and then you had professional photographers or commercial photographers. But if you're a serious fine art photographer, it's a business too. So if you're fine art, if you're a painter and you are exhibiting, then you are operating as a business as well. So it's serious. It's serious work, and it's a commitment, and it's been a life commitment. So yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. And I think that was pretty much it. Yeah. So it looks like that's all the questions that he had here. Let me just make sure I got this recording set here.